Going to learn about repeating numbers. These are often called angel numbers, and the general consensus regarding repeating numbers is this. Basically, it's that the universe has, or the universe is, an intelligent, creative, and supportive messaging system, and your personal, what I call your cosmic support team, and it's always available to you. So number patterns are indeed, they are messages. They are a code for communication. And so when you start learning numerology, you can really begin to understand what the code might bring to you. Abraham Hicks asserts that repeating numbers mean alignment, plain and simple, okay? So the message contained with the numbers confirms this kind of alignment. So also remember that repeating numbers can have very specific meaning to you that might not correspond exactly to numerology. So what do I mean by that? So for instance, perhaps your mother passed away and you keep seeing her birth date on the clock, or maybe the day that she passed on the clock. So this will be a clear message that speaks only to you because it has a connection to you that is emotional and specific. So in that case, the numbers in numerology might not, have anything to do with the message. It's simply your mother communicating with you through that pattern and through that code, because it's something that you understand as something that is important to the two of you personally and privately together. So it's kind of like thinking about dream analysis, right? There are certain archetypes in dream analysis that you can look at and see what it might mean. And yet overall, you have even a symbol has different significance to you personally when it shows up in a dream. So think about that as we go along. This is all very much an interpretive art, as I really do emphasize as we go along with the art and science of numerology. It really is an art form as well to begin to interpret. So let's look at each number individually, and then we'll start, placing these into context. So the number 1, when you see this in a repeating number pattern or sequence, it is always going to be a message about new beginnings, about independence. And it's going to incite action in you. So this really indicates a support for starting anything new. It's telling you that it is time to take action, and it's telling you that it's time to make a clear decision. Okay, so we're going to go in later after we go through all of these numbers. We'll go through 1111. We'll go through some of the more popular patterns that we might see and talk about the significance of those. But right now, whenever you see a 1, it really is all about, again, new dependence. That's an interesting term. New beginnings, independence, and action. So when you see the number 2, this is really indicating a need for patience. It's about love. It's all about timing, okay? It's about connection and partnership. So when you see the number 2, it really indicates an important relationship is coming into existence, or up close and personal to be examined, right? This can be an intimate relationship. It can be a business relationship. It can be a friendship, any kind of relationship. It can be a message about. It is a message to be patient, everyone's favorite thing, to be patient. That it really is asking you to please have some patience, and that things are happening with right timing. It's really indicating a need to allow the process, whatever it is that you're working on right now, to unfold in its own time. So the number 3, this is about communication. It's about creativity. It's about fun. It's really indicates a creation, the creation of something new. So when you see this number, you're being given the rah-rah, right? To please keep going with whatever creative activity you're involved with. It's offering you the idea and again, the support to say, any kind of playfulness, any fun, a lighter touch, anything in this arena is going to open doors for you right now, rather than being super, serious and all of that. It's like, bring some lightness, bring some buoyancy into it, and it will, again, open things up for you. It is a message to focus on clear and authentic communication. Maybe you're having some communication gaffes in your life, and this is a message that's coming up for you now. It's also a message that it's time to take extra care of yourself. Perhaps you've been burning the midnight oil and you're not doing a lot of self-care. It's going to be a message that you're, to take care of yourself, to nurture yourself right now. Take a little time out for a moment. This really indicates also that healing can occur through creative endeavors, right, that you're doing. It's also believed that when this number shows up, the ascended masters are here to guide and support you. So it is a supportive energy. It really is divine guidance that you are being offered when you see the 3 repeated in repeated form. The number 4 is all about hard work. It's about longer range goals. It's about setting foundations. And it's interesting, when this number shows up, people kind of go, oh, what is it? And yet it's a really powerful message to you. It indicates that there will be rewards for the hard work you've been putting into a project or a particular aspect of your life. To keep at it, right? Slow and steady wins the race whenever a 4 is involved. And whatever you've been working on is coming into physical and material form. So again, don't abandon ship right now. It's probably, oftentimes this message comes when we're feeling a little defeated, when we're feeling like abandoning something because it's just too hard or we're not seeing the results we want. This can come into play to say, no, it's coming. Just hang with it, right? Keep at it. And it really is a message that there is divine assistance for you when you ask for it. All a disclaimer or a claimer is that all of the repeating numbers, I'm going to talk about this more as we go along, are messages of support. They are messages of acknowledgement. They are messages of, validation. So every time that you're seeing numbers, you're keying into a different level of support anyway. So really, when you see this, when you ask for support, you're going to be getting it even more powerfully and more directly. So this message, again, when you see the 4, it's related to continuing your dedication, to putting things in order, for proper preparation, and for consistency of effort. So this is also aligning you up with preparation for succeeding, prepping you for success. So it's a wonderful message when you get those 4s. The number 5, freedom, change, and focus. The 5 always, it's almost like all these other numbers, and I'm being dramatic here or what, exaggerating. And yet most other numbers, you're like, oh, it's this. The number 5, I find really, it is just an indication that you are in a flux. You are ready for change, and change is happening. It is imminent. So get ready, right? It's like, hold on to your hat. Get ready for some twists and turns, and release expectations that aren't working out. Remove those limiting expectations so that you can open up to whatever substantial big transition and change is coming into play for you right now. So the 5 really is about, it's almost to me like that saying that says that stopped it, that why do we expect, what is it? Oh, I'm being so horrible right now. It's basically, it's what everyone's heard. You can't keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect different results, right? It's kind of the definition of insanity. And so the 5 is kind of saying, hey, you're banging your head against the wall over and over again. Why don't you're ready for some change. And yet it's going to demand that you change, that there are going to be some significant changing circumstances. The number six, the number six is about responsibility. It's about relationships. It's about home life, love, service. So this really, as a message, when it shows up in a sequence or as a repeating number, it is a message of love, plain and simple. This is a message to step back and also question your fears. So what is standing in the way of love? Because you know how we all say, or not we all, but most people will say that there are only basically two emotions, love and fear. So you can't hold both simultaneously. So this is really a message. It's like, where can you dissolve the fear and move into love? And this can take all kinds of forms depending on what's going on in your life and where does this message resonate with what you're working with right now. You're also being asked to be open to feminine or more receptive energy. And this is whether you're male or female. We all have the masculine and the feminine energies that we are asked to work with and balance in our lives. And so it's really demanding, asking you, nudging you to open yourself up and to be more receptive, more loving, and less forceful and less judgmental many ways. So this is a time to step back from unrealistic expectations. Perhaps maybe you're working with a project and you're so frustrated that nothing is working out the way you envision. And then maybe this is when you see this pattern, you go, ooh, maybe my expectations are just a bit too high, or maybe if I just kind of step back a little bit and work with people differently, we can achieve those expectations. But obviously my expectations are different than other people's, so how can I change that, right, and make it more productive for me and more satisfying for me. And it's also a message to nurture. And mostly when I work with this number as a repeating, it's a time to nurture yourself, to take care of yourself, and give yourself a little TLC that you may be lacking at this moment when you see this kind of pattern. The number seven. The number seven is about spirituality, trust, and finding deep meaning in life. It's interesting also because, we all know the lucky number seven, right? Seventh heaven. All of those sevens have this sort of lucky, sort of etheric sort of feeling about them. Or even, again, when we have those in sayings, they have a root there. And yet this number really indicates, and this is a little more dicey to try to, I guess, kind of dig into this one because it's so expansive. And so when you see the seven, it is a message of universal wisdom. It really means that everything is happening for a higher purpose, even if that purpose is very hard to understand or feels somewhat painful at the moment. Often we'll find that we will experience the number seven when we're going through some difficulties, when we're like, I just can't even envision how to even get out of this horrible place that I find myself in. And it's really asking you to trust yourself, to trust the process, to trust the higher universal wisdom that is going on. It's very difficult to see where we're headed when we are so, super hyper focused on what's going on at that moment. And I mean, it's interesting. I have a friend right now who's gone through so much tumultuousness in the past 3 years. It's been a long time with everything. Just everything has just been uprooted and upended. And yet there have been some things happening with this person in the past couple weeks where he has gone, wow, everything had to happen exactly the way it had in order for me to get to this place right now that is so valuable to me. And so that's just an example, not a very I don't know, clear example, but an example of how to think about the 7, what message it's bringing. It's like, yes, have faith, have trust. It is coming to where it needs to go. It's just not fitting it's just not fitting the way in which you think that it should get there, right? So trust, trust, trust. And when this one comes up, profound healing is available with the number 7. It's kind of the let go, let God idea around that. It's trusting the process, trusting the flow. This is a huge opportunity for personal growth, spiritual growth, for learning. The 7 is the number, again, of analysis, of the intellect, of learning, and growing, and deep internal spiritual growth. So when you see this number, it is giving you that message. The number 8. The number 8, when you see this in a sequence or repeating, it is about finances, of course. I think most people understand the 8 as the money number. So finances. Personal empowerment, though, and anyone who's been on these webinars knows that this is even more than money. I find the number 8 is about empowerment, is about power, is about influence, is about all of that. And it's also about authority. So when you see an 8, it indicates that it's time to take yourself seriously. Step into your power in whatever area you're being faced with feeling disempowered right now. Often this will come up really as a teacher and as a spiritual nudge to say, I know this is hard right now, but step into it, do it. You can do it. You can grab onto your power, step up, get, even though I know it's hard. So often this will come when that is something you're wrestling with in life. This number brings the energy of abundance. It's often a message that what you're doing will have good, financial remuneration, will have rewards there. The 8 amplifies what you're focused on, and it demands that you claim your power and act accordingly. So when you see this number, it's a really good idea, even though it's a good idea all the time, whether you're seeing the 8 or not, but it's a great idea when you're seeing the 8 to get super, super clear about what it is you're focused on and what you're going after, because that will expand exponentially when you have this 8 in your court. It's a time to lead. It's a time to be an authority. Oftentimes I find with clients, this shows up when they're wanting to, or, applying for a job in management, or they're taking their own business into the next level, or something where they're really kind of going, oh, am I a fraud? Am I really worthy of this? Can I really do it? Yes, the 8 is really a message that you should be stepping in and developing your sense of authority and working with that part of whatever it is you're doing, again, right now in your life. So the 8 is also the divine feminine. It is Shakti, and it offers support with manifestation and abundance in the material world as it emanates from the internal or the spiritual, right? Again, when we talk about the 8, the highest quality of the 8, the highest and best of the 8, even though it is the material manifester, the highest level of that is to understand money as energy, to understand what you will do for money and what you won't do, what it means and what it doesn't mean. Those very higher functioning, a higher form of understanding what money is and what it can do and what you want to do with it. So the number 9 is about letting go. It's about selfless service as well. It's an ending bridging into something new. So this number, when you see 9s, it indicates the inevitability that something is exiting. Something is falling away, something is transitioning, it's to let it go, let go, let go. The space is being cleared for something new and improved to make an appearance. So that's when the 9 shows up. It's really giving you the indication. It's like, yeah, you know, maybe you've been unclear about whether you should hold on to this or let it go. When you see the 9, the answer is let it go. Okay, so it's time to surrender to the unknown. And this transition obviously will be easier with trust and compassion. The 9 is that number of compassion for yourself and for others who might be involved with whatever the dissolution is that you're working with. And trust in the wisdom, right, of the forces at work right now. And so it really is asking you to let go of the steering wheel for a minute and let things shake out the way they need to shake out. Make room for some new space, for something new to come into your life. This number can also feel very magical when you are ready for it, when you're letting go with this grace and trust. It's really, it can be this beautiful, magical, energizing shift. I work with some interesting people who understand their astrology and their numerology and all of these other tools that they really use to go, yeah, this has been so exciting because I've known that this is, you know, that something's going to go. And so I've been, you know, prepping myself and I'm ready for it. So that's really one of the tools here that if you understand the code and what's going on, it can give you not only permission to do that, but also just the message that that is what is happening. And you can validate that, yes, the right thing to do. Often people just want to know what's the right thing to do, right? So it's giving you the answer. It's saying the right thing to do is to let it go and not hang on. So let's see if we can kind of put this all together, give some examples about how you might look at this. Again, this is you know, we can dig so deeply into this. So I hope this is giving you a good foundation from which to kind of start, again, seeing when these things show up, what they might bring to the table for you. So of course, 1111 is the most popular, and I don't mean popular in terms of popularity contest, and yet this is the number that people most often report seeing. Even people who have no clue about numerology, they don't have any belief system with any of this stuff. They will often see this number and it piques their interest because they'll start noticing it. So this 1111, it can be called the 1111, you know, phenomenon, the Make-A-Wish number. This is a powerful message of alignment. It's your moment to stop, review your thoughts, set a clear intention. It truly is your cosmic support team giving you a thumbs up. I always say that this is, again, it's the double ones, right? So remember what we talked about. Anytime you see a 1, it's about action, about initiation, about using your unique vision, your creativity, all of those things. And so the 1111 to me even looks like 2 doorways, right? Even visually, if you look. And to me, it is this energetic portal. It is this moment in which you have this, it's almost, to me, again, kind of like that Harry Potter portal idea where you're bridging heaven and earth, you know, through this gateway. And I often remind people that it's wonderful when you see it to stop, you know, to really reflect on, again, make a wish. What depends on what you mean by wish, but set an intention, I find, is a more powerful way for me to say that. Set an intention and set that, and, you know, as Abraham Hicks would say, and set that rocket of desire out into the universe, because it is an indicator that that there is power here, that you're being supported, and it's validation that what you're doing, what you're working on is in alignment with you, right? And to me, just noticing these things is just part of the puzzle. when you start noticing them, and part of the fun. Again, we'll talk a little bit more about that as well later on. But this is the 1111. It is the most common repeating number sequence that people see, and it is the Make-A-Wish. It is a very powerful message, again, from your support system, giving you the rah-rahs, right? Telling you to keep going, and really just saying, hey, you're not alone here. You've got so much support. Ask for help. Again, all of these numbers, whenever you see them, are really bolstering your, I don't know, they're asking you to ask. You don't ask, you don't get. So ask for help, ask for support, ask for what you would like. And all of the repeating numbers are giving you that message. So let's look at 1, 2, 3. So what I really want to emphasize here is that the numbers are very literal, just like our bodies, right? If you are someone who's intuitive, or someone who is, for instance, knows anything about medical intuition and that sort of, working with our body systems and what messages they're giving us through our symptoms. Our bodies are also very literal. So, and what I mean by that is, for instance, I had an experience years ago that propelled me into my spiritual adventure. Part of that was getting an inexplicable, undiagnosable, horrific rash. I got a huge rash on my eye, and I couldn't figure out what to do. It was itchy and weepy, and I couldn't touch it. I couldn't wear any makeup. It wouldn't go away. I thought that I had candida yeast, and I stopped eating, did the diet to starve that. I was already at that time a vegetarian. It came to the point where I could only eat like 3 foods. I mean, it was horrible, and nothing was helping. That wasn't healing it. I finally went to the doctor, and the doctor, she walked in the door, and actually, I'll never forget it. She kind of went, she was startled because it started creeping down this side of my face. And we're talking months that this was happening. She gave me some cortisone cream, did not help. And what happened is that, again, I was going through a huge transition, but I was blocking it and not admitting it to myself. And so it just had to do with everything in my life and my relationship at the time and all of this. And when I could actually simply see what was wrong and see that I needed to make a substantial change, and see that I needed to, that there was something itching me, there was something erupting under my skin. And so as soon as I could make that determination, it literally went away overnight. And so it's again, our bodies are speaking to us in that way. And I use that example because also the numbers speak to us that way. So we see 1, 2, 3. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. And oftentimes what happens here is that, and I'll give you another example. I had a woman who I was talking with, and she was super stressed, and she was getting ready to get married. This was a first marriage for her, a second marriage for her fiance, who had 2 kids, and they were attempting to, get all this organized. And she said, "Oh my God, I mean, I am sleeping so poorly. Every morning I wake up at 1:23 in the morning, like she's like, for weeks now it's been, she's like, I am going insane. I am going crazy." And I said, "Well, you want to know what it means?" She's like, "You could tell me what it means?" And so, yeah, I said, well, it's telling you that it's easy. Whatever it is you're grappling with is as easy as 1, 2, 3, but you're making it far too complicated, far too difficult. And she just welled up with tears, and she said, "Oh my gosh, that is the answer I need, because I have been so stressed out. I'm trying to be this super stepmother. I'm trying to get everything done. I'm trying to do everything right. And all this stuff is getting in my way, and I'm feeling so guilty, and I'm feeling so bad. And so basically what you're telling me is that I just need to be just need to let it go and be okay. And I said, yeah, you're making it far too complicated. It's not working, is it? You know, is it for you? It's stressing you out and it's not working. She said, no, it's not. No one's happy. So we saw each other a couple weeks later and she was like, I cannot tell you how important that was. She said, I just finally just let it go and thought, you know, this is me and this is this, and everything started to flow. The kids started warming up to her more because she wasn't trying so hard and she wasn't trying to control everything. Anyway, sometimes that's what the numbers are telling you. I'm trying to give you some stories and some examples of how it might show up and then how to apply that. Like, okay, what's as easy as 1, 2, 3, right? Well, it's up to you to figure that out, because she knew immediately what she was making too complicated, right? As soon as she understood the code, as soon as she understood what it meant. So basically, you're going to be asked to make that same determination for yourself, is to decide what it is this applies to. So if you see these repeating twos, and you know, see it in the clock, see it on a receipt, see it in a driver's license. Again, we haven't really talked about where all of these numbers can show up for you. They can show up so many places. I had my daughter one time, she'll occasionally send me, you know, she's like, wow, look at this receipt, and the time was 1:11 and it was server number 222 and the bill was $33.33. I mean, it'll be all of this stuff that will come up. So you can see these repeating numbers and these patterns in all kinds of places. And it becomes super fun, actually, to notice them and to start keying into that level of communication and of energy. So the 222, or the, you know, wherever the twos show up, it really indicates that there are vital connections being made that have significance in your life. Your guides have your back, okay? And they're asking, and it's asking you to have patience, to be patient, and to trust in the timing, and that all is well. So that's what the twos are bringing. It can also indicate, in my experience, that you might be overreacting emotionally to something, and that you might, you know, step back and look at something with a little bit less of emotional charge to be able to work through it and allow it to have a favorable outcome. The threes, 333, this number sequence in particular is the Ascended Masters. They're on hand. they're you know, I don't know, they're your can dancers. They're right there with you. Something is ready to click when you see the triple threes. Trust your creativity. Infuse more fun and some more joy into what you're doing. It really is a time to lean into that and release some more of that seriousness, some worry, some that you're having right now. Go, hey, let's just have fun with this. Let's you know, really trust that our creative juice and forces here. And that is usually what is being called upon during this time. It's also, the threes can show up when you actually are working on a creative project. Are you in the middle of writing your book? Are you doing your online course? Or are you recording some music? Are you auditioning for something? Is it, you know, it can actually really align if you are working directly in the creative realms, doing anything in that level. It can be giving you a positive thumbs up that keep at it and keep doing it, and keep your creativity going. So the 444. No, so this really to me indicates that no matter how chaotic it might feel at the moment, keep taking the steps towards your goal and your vision. It is an indicator that you are getting support from the cosmos, and again, however you would like to define that, from your guides, from your angels, if that's your belief system, from your cosmic support team is the way I like to say it, from those who are the energies that you can draw upon here. It's a beautiful message to that what you've been working at and putting into form is coming to fruition, and don't give up on it. Keep at it. The 555. It's all changing, and everything and anything is possible. So it's an indicator to let go of old patterns of action and belief and thought and welcome something absolutely new. This can be a really topsy-turvy time. And it can also be where, you'll facing your fears can be something that you will be called upon to do during this time. It can, because the 5 is all about, fearlessness and living in that realm and being focused and productive, and yet, stepping outside of the box. So this really is asking you to step outside of the box. 666. Oh, cue the eerie music, right? So often this is identified as the Antichrist number. And it couldn't be farther from the truth, actually, numerologically speaking. This is the 6 is love. It is the number of love. So it is a call to service, to mentorship, perhaps. It's a call for non-judgment. It is your indicator and your message to remove whatever fear you're currently experiencing and replace it with love. It's time to open your heart in a way that you maybe are struggling with right now. It can be a time maybe when you're working with forgiving someone or forgiving yourself for something. So this is a number sequence that can show up, and that is the meaning. Think about the 6. It is love and nurturance. So when you see the repeating 7s, it's telling you, have faith that you're on the right path and you will get where you need to be. May not be exactly when, why, how, where, and what you thought. You will get there. And often this comes in when you're doing something maybe a little rebellious. I put rebellious in quotation marks, but it's a message that you're going in the right direction. And often this is going to mean that you're on a different pattern and different wavelength, right? You're doing something that people just probably don't get as the right thing to do, and yet internally that this is the right thing to do. So it is have faith and go with that flow. Trust your intuition and go that direction. The 8s, this is a message of abundance, of success and prosperity. It's connected with the divine feminine. It is a message to empower yourself on all levels. Again, we talked about a little bit how this often shows up when you are working with, moving into your, higher minded vision, when you're kind of, sputtering and wondering if you really, can I really do this? And it is your message that yes, you can, and that there is abundance that is attached to that is at your fingertips. So the repeating 9 is a message that you're nearing the end of a challenging time, and you'll move into an entirely new chapter soon. So again, this is a beautiful indicator that yes, it is time to release. It is time for something new and a time for that to go. So this is very interesting, because what about random sightings, right? So sometimes I find that people who are going through what I would call a spiritual awakening or a personal growth, personal spiritual growth, will see all kinds of repeating numbers. So it's interesting. I have a very, very close person in my life right now who is, let me give you an overarching example here. So she is in her 7 personal year, And we'll be talking about personal years much more in depth at our next webinar. And yet she is, for those of you, we talked about it a little bit at the, on a prior webinar, but the personal years are in alignment. Again, the energy, the theme that we're working with in any year. She's in a 7. The 7 is a very introspective time. It is a time of spiritual growth and of knowledge gathering and all of that. Well, my friend here, she went through a very dramatic and traumatic 6 personal year where her fiance, who was going to be a fiance, ended up, it dissolved and it was very messy. Her father passed away. All of these things came into play that were very tumultuous and emotional. So the 7 year was a year for healing, really, in that way. And she's very, she's a very intellectual, very successful with business, and has some propensities for this sort of, metaphysical stuff, but not really. And so this year, she has started to see repeating numbers incessantly. They are showing up everywhere, and they're random. They're not like, oh, I'm seeing 1111 and I'm seeing 222 or I'm seeing 118 or whatever it is. They are but they are every day. She sees this like three to 5 times. She takes screenshots. She does all this stuff. She's like, what is this? This is incredible. And for me, and I get, I'm using her as an example because she's a close in my life. And yet I get clients who talk about this as well. They feel a little batty. Do you feel this way? Have any of you felt this? Like, oh my, I've got to figure this out because this is driving me crazy. I think I'm going a little bonkers here. So what it is, in my opinion, is that the universe is like, okay, we've been trying to communicate with you subtly for a really long time, and you really haven't been picking up the phone. So now we're going to just keep throwing these things at you until you can't deny that these are showing up. So for me, it's not a matter of the message that's encoded in the number sequence itself. More so it is, you are beginning now to rip back your veil and be able to get into this element of your spiritual growth. And it is starting by you noticing, paying attention. I was talking to my friend who was saying she was talking to another friend of hers about seeing all these numbers. And her friend was like, what are you talking about? I never see anything like that. So it's that interesting element where, of course, all of you that are here with me are like, are you kidding me? Everyone sees these. Well, I feel that everyone sees them, but they don't notice. So it's that elevated sense of, again, your personal spiritual growth that allows you to see them. So when people are seeing these really intense random sightings, that is what I feel the message is. It is just understand that you are in a spiritual growth spurt right now, that you are being asked to come to the table and participate in a different level of existence than you have in the past. And then we can start rolling with that, right? And yet first we have to get your attention. So that is what I find those intense random sightings are about. Then of course, what someone will say is like, well, then what does it mean? I'm like, well, now that you've noticed, and you can kind of relax into it and get a little and not be so freaked out by it, then maybe it will start being a more consistent message, so that then you can get the message. Now they've just tried to get your attention because I feel that when this happens, people have been barraged with them for quite some time, but simply haven't noticed, haven't paid attention. And so do you notice the common theme here? The common denominator is a plain and simple, it is positive reinforcement, right? It's just letting us all know that we are supported, that we are not alone. and that we have a lot. There's so much going on, isn't there? That we don't have access to just in this physical plane. And it's interesting because and I'll say this as well. There we go. I'm going to talk about the resources in a second. So the common denominator is that positive reinforcement. And so I also want to, go to a little bit of a next level in terms of, so how does this again integrate? And I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about, which is I had a client who reached out to me actually just several weeks ago and said, I don't know, such and such referred you as a numerologist because for years I've been seeing 1111. And then the other number sequence that I see very frequently is repeating threes, 3 3 3 3 3, all of this. And I'm clueless. And I really want to know what's going on. So rather than just do, it means this and this, what I prefer to do, and now that you're knowing numerology the way you are, all of you, you can start to do this as well, is I said, well, what I really would like to do is run your chart, is run your full numerology chart so that then I can get more of an idea, make it have some more detail here, potentially. So I ran his chart, and of course, or not of course, and yet for me it felt like of course, he is a 33 master number 33 life path number. So the 33, and he also has a 33 challenge number in his chart. So the threes coming up to me as a numerologist have even a greater depth of significance and meaning, because when we can reflect on his numerology chart, understand what they're keying into with him personally in terms of showing up as numbers. So as he's learning more about the master number 33 and that is his life path number, that he can really extract when this comes up and what he's been experiencing when he sees that, and really plug it into, derive more meaning out of it. Because again, oftentimes it's support. It's a direct support of what you're working on with. If he's getting a lot of repeated threes and he's a 33 life path, he's getting support, he's getting acknowledgement, he's getting nudging, he's getting extra fuel to do that life path purpose. And often it's just a really wonderful way to gauge when maybe it's saying, hey, you're veering off course a little bit, come back to your 33. Or it could also be, hey, you're doing a jazz hands amazing job with the 33, and we're really validating that for you. So again, it's up to us to understand the message and what it's saying to us, because usually we know when we're feeling off. Or when we're feeling, beleaguered or off track. And maybe when that message came up for him, it was a reminder to reboot himself into that more positive element of the 33. Or alternately, as I suggested, that it could be just the kudos for it. So again, it's up to each of us to extract the meaning and apply it to what we're working on right now. It's also really interesting, I find, that that people with numbers, I hear this all the time. It's a little bit, a little bit of a sidebar for repeating numbers, but not really. I remember being at a, well, it doesn't matter where I was, but I was in a place where we were talking, and I was talking to a man. He owned his own restaurant, and then he was marketing a food product that he had made from his own label, from his restaurant. And we were talking, and it came down to numerology, and he was interested. So I ran his life path number, and he was an 8, life path, and it was a 17 before you reduce it to an 8. And so I will never forget the look on his face, because I said, you know, you're an 8, but it's a 17. He was like, oh my God. And he like rips open his shirt and I see this necklace that he has on, it has a number 17. And he says, this has always been my lucky number and my favorite number, and it follows me everywhere, right? I know people, a friend of mine who has discovered that he's a 19/1. And he's like, that was my football jersey in high school. They just gave it to me, you know, and 19 follows me everywhere. So I don't know if you experience this or you know people. Oftentimes numbers follow people places, you know, we have favorite numbers, and then you wonder, why is that my favorite number? Well, sometimes it's your life path number. Sometimes it's a part of your chart, or sometimes, again, you know that it's your favorite number. Maybe your favorite number is 8, and you know, and you want to make a lot of money in life, you know, that you're somehow magically gravitated toward that number just as a favorite number. So it's fun to start looking at people's favorite numbers, how numbers follow us, and where they show up. Because again, when you have these basic qualities, these basic energies, the basic information that the numbers bring with them, you can begin to have an incredible amount of fun with this. And I've got to tell you that for me personally, I just really love seeing the numbers, because often it's when I'm feeling a little out of sorts, I'm kind of stressed, or I'm pissed, or I'm something. And suddenly I'll see that, and it releases, it gives me this total relaxation, and it usually makes me laugh. And I've become one of those kind of batty people who I'll see it and I'll actually laugh and kind of throw my eyes up into the ethers and say, hey, thanks, thank you. Because to me, it is a reminder. It's like, okay, Felicia, you know, okay, just chill out. It's all fine. We're here. You're here. We're all here. So it's okay. So to me, it's also an indicator that even when things don't feel okay, and I'm not making light of the darker, the more difficult moments that we have in life, right? I'm not discounting that. I find that I actually this past week experienced the death of a good friend of mine, and it was very unexpected. And while you go through that and you say it's so sad, and there's a part of this that really helps me. I keep seeing some things that reassure me that everything's okay. So it doesn't alleviate the pain or the process that we go through of grieving or of just working through that. That's part of our learning right here. And yet it does offer, at least for me, some solace. And I think it offers that for other people as well. So I also find another way that repeating numbers show up. I will often see my own birthday in the clock. I'll often see 7/22. And when I see that, again, it's kind of a reset button for me. And to me, the way I interpret that is that I'm doing what I was born to do. And if I feel off track and like I'm not doing that right now, it reminds me to get with the program. So anyway, I always look at it very, very positively, even when it's a corrective, right? Even when it's kind of saying, okay, come on, get back over here, get back over here. So to me, that is, again, if you see your birthday, it can have its own meaning for you, but that's the meaning that it has for me.